Greetings and welcome today to Match Play, and I am so excited that my friend Brandel Chamblee is joining us. You know, Brandel, thank you so much. Thank you for being. It's been a number of years that we've been talking about doing this, and I have to set this up for you folks because Brandel is a man of his word. A number of years ago at the Wigwam Resort during the Patriot All-America Golf Tournament, which we filmed there a few weeks ago, Brandel and I were supposed to do this. We were going to film this television show for Match Play, and his schedule did not permit that. And you wrote to me and you said, "Ray, I'm so sorry I can't do it. I owe you one." And I have that text, and I was ready to pull it out if I needed it, but I didn't need it. And it's been a couple, 2 or 3 different times we've crossed paths, and it just didn't work out. But today at the beautiful Fairmont Scottsdale Princess Hotel Resort, right here next to the Tournament Players Club, for the largest golf tournament, a big, huge show on grass. It is the Phoenix Open, brought to you by Waste Management.
We were waiting for perfect weather
and
the perfect setting.
That's right.
And this is it.
Brandel, you and I have a few things in common I have to point out to the folks. The first thing we have in common is my little mom, Dottie. Because how I got to know Brandel is he would go in and out of Mom's Scottsdale Art Gallery years ago, and she would call me on the phone and say, "Ramey," that's right, she called me Ramey, "and don't bring it up again. Ramey, there's a nice looking young man and he plays professional golf. Do you know him?" "Well, Mom, what's his name?" "Well, I forgot. I'll have to get it the next time he comes in." And certainly, Brandel came in 2 or 3 times and Mom would call me. Finally, one time she called and said, "His name is Brandel. He's a nice looking young man." I said, "I think we've established that he's nice looking, Mom. What's his name?" "Brandel." And she said, "I even have his phone number." You
well,
would
I loved your mom.
Yeah.
I would go into that art store almost every single time I was up there. I lived in that neighborhood and have a coffee and then walk around. There was some beautiful art. I bought a few things in there, but your mother, Dottie, she was lit up. You know, every time I went in there, she was very charming, lit up, just loved her. So
absolutely,
I'm glad Dottie brought us together.
She did bring us together, and that was a number of years ago. And I have that same phone number in my phone. No, you can't have it.
I haven't changed that number.
That's right. I haven't changed mine in 20 years either. And then we also have 4 children. You named yours beginning with a B. I named mine beginning with a C.
That is a crazy coincidence. Mine are Brandel, Braden, who passed, Brennan, and Bergen. And yours are?
Karis, Candace, Courtney, and Coleman.
There you go. How about that? I haven't met many people that have done that. And I get tongue-tied, you know, at least once a week, where I'm like, Brennan, whatever your name is.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's right.
Yes, that's it.
You, come over here. Well, it's a blessing to have the 4 kids, and we also have one other thing in common, which is a bit of a tragedy, of course, in that you lost your baby Braden.
I did.
And I lost my baby girl, who was an adult, a couple years ago, Candace.
Yeah, it's a terrible club to be a part of. I mean, it's something you never get over. Think about it all the time. It was an awful time. I think about how old Braden would be, what he'd be doing. It's a tragic part of my life, but it changed my life, and I'd like to think some very good ways.
Was that a defining moment for you, Brandel, in your life, and did you have any before that?
Well, many defining moments that sort of changed the trajectory of which I thought I was going to go on. But that one certainly did. I was going to play golf my whole life, but shortly after Braden passed away, I was out on the road, and I didn't quit because I was hurt or playing bad. I quit because I'd be out on the road and I was lonely, I was sad, I didn't feel the motivation to practice. And look, I mean, I was good enough to be on tour. I was a talented player. But it doesn't matter how talented you are, you're not going to stay out there very long if you don't grind.
Yes.
And I wasn't so talented that I could not keep my nose to the grindstone.
Let me take you back to St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
A Midwestern guy.
Yeah.
I'm a Midwestern guy too, by the way, from Michigan.
Uh-huh.
We both ended up in Scottsdale, by the way. How many more commonalities do we have here? But Midwestern guy from Missouri. How did you start into golf?
Well, I was, shortly after I was born, I guess we spent a few years in St. Louis and Tulsa, Oklahoma, moving south. My dad was a home builder. We ended up in Dallas. We ended up in Dallas during the decade of the 70s, and then the high water mark, I think, for the Dallas Cowboys. So I was a big football fan and played football and wanted to be a professional football player. And when I wasn't playing football, yeah, I know, but at the time everybody was that tall.
At the
right?
time,
and
okay.
I ran track, so I was real fast.
Okay,
and,
me too, good.
They could beat me up, but they couldn't catch me.
There you go.
And,
that was important.
So I was really fast, and so I wanted to either run track, play football, or ride horses, because we had several horses, and I would spend pretty much every day doing a lot of dumb things on horses. So we chased a lot of cows, roped them, rode baby bulls, poles, barrels.
From 100 miles on a horse to a golf club, how did it happen?
Yeah, I had a good friend of mine who was a golfer, a nationally ranked junior golfer. I didn't know anything about the sport. He invited me out to play. He shot 69, I shot 1,000,000. I came home, I said, I think I want to play golf. And my dad was like, okay, all right.
You were already hooked.
Yeah, I was already hooked. But he said, we got to sell the horses. You can't do both. So sold the horses, dove into golf about, I don't know, very shortly after I started playing. I said, this is what I want to do for a living. So I'd have been 13 when I started.
Wow.
And by the time I was 15, I was good. I was pretty darn good.
Well, you got better because you went to the University of Texas, hook 'em horns, and you were an All-America twice. And
three
then
times, actually.
Was it three?
Not to correct you,
forgive
but
me.
3 times.
No, please do. I read twice. He lived
Somebody
it.
shorted me.
Somebody shorted you.
Somebody
so 3-time All-America at the University of Texas. So you were good. And from there, you turned professional in 1985.
That's right. That's right. As soon as I got out of school, I graduated. I remember filling in that last bubble, thinking that's it. I'm done. Turned pro, and it took me a couple years to get on the PGA Tour. I beat around playing mini tours.
Well, you won on what was the Ben Hogan Tour.
I did. Back the early stages.
You beat Jeff Maggart.
I did.
Who just won the Schwab Cup Championship.
Yeah. I mean, Maggart and I kind of grew up together, and we were the very first year of what is now the Korn Ferry Tour.
Yes.
1990. He led that money list. That year, only 5 players got their tour cards. I finished 7th on that money list. So I had to go to Q school, and I shot 68, 66 the last couple of rounds, and made it. And off I went, and I played the tour from, basically late 80s until 2003 when I decided to go into TV. It was a hell of a run. I really enjoyed it.
You played the tour for about 15 years.
I was good, not great. I was a good tour player. I made, I made a nice living.
Another defining moment came because when you mentioned at the top of the show you lost the baby, Braden, and you were lonely out on the tour, you just finally made the decision that you were finished and you were going to hang up your cleats and put your clubs away, still play golf probably, but no more professional tour. And tell us how or what moment occurred for you to transition into the broadcaster's booth.
Well, I had been writing a column the entire time I was a professional golfer, either for Sports Illustrated or Golf World, or and quite often, based upon columns I'd written, I'd be asked to do a hit here or there on TV, and you know how it is. I mean, you get to know everybody in the industry, and then they start asking you, like, I'm playing professional golf. I'm not going to stop and do TV. But again, about the time that I was looking for something else to do, some other avenue that would help me be home a little bit more often, and not only be home, but be present when I'm home. Because if you're a professional golfer, it is an all-consuming, selfish event. I mean, exercise. I mean, you're always exercising. You're always thinking about it. You're always practicing. If you're not, somebody's going to blow by you. So I started getting a lot of offers to do TV. Golf Channel came along. I had been doing several hits for them over the years, and they said, could you do this full time? Would you do this full time? And I say full time as a full-time employee, but I only had to work about half the year.
Wow.
So half the year I was off, and
what
when
a great
I was
deal.
off, I was here.
And your degree from University of Texas in speech communications probably came in pretty handy.
Look, I could, when I was in school, I enjoyed writing, I enjoyed reading. It certainly didn't bother me to get up in front of people and dive into a subject.
One of our viewers wanted me to ask you this question, by the way, and he's a PGA professional. He wanted me to ask you, do you find it more difficult being a PGA Tour player or being a golf analyst in the broadcast booth? Which is more difficult?
Yeah, good question. I would say they both had their challenges. When you get on the tour, maybe not so much anymore, but certainly when I got on the tour, there was a fair bit of an intimidation factor. And I spent, and I think others did as well, you spend a lot of time looking around and trying to figure out who you were as a player and emulate the moves of other people. When you get into TV, pretty much the same was true. You look around, you have people whose commentating style you enjoy, and at least early on, I didn't know it, but I was really trying to be somebody else. It wasn't until, same on tour, same in TV, that you felt comfortable being yourself. It's my swing, it's my game that got me here, it's my game that's going to keep me here. It wasn't until in TV where I looked around and I thought, look, I can only do this one way. I can do all the research I want. You got to be prepared, and the reason you prepare so hard is twofold. One, you need to be competent.
Yeah.
You need to know your material when you're on the air, but the other is, and I think more important, it allows you to listen. Because listening is far more important on TV than you would give it credit for. Because if you're sitting there on TV and you're thinking about what you're going to say, one, you're not listening. So you're apt to repeat what people besides you. You're not going to respond in an authentic way. And two, you're going to be too stiff when you talk. If you listen, it becomes more of a conversation. So one, you do the work to prepare so that you can listen. And two, the other criteria I had, at least in my own view, because TV is a very insecure world because it's subjectively viewed.
Yeah.
Golf, you shoot 65, nobody can tell you didn't play great. TV, you finish a show, people say good show, some people say I didn't think it was any good.
Yeah.
So if you start to put all your emotion into what others think of your work, then it leads down a road that I wasn't comfortable with. I thought, I've got to come up with my own criteria, which again, preparation, and then when you go on TV, relax, have fun, because people at home are watching you in their underwear, for crying out loud. They're sitting there, whatever. I mean, they're tuning in to be entertained.
You're having fun, so Brandel and I need to have some fun too, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes.
When we are having fun, by the way. When we come back, I'm going to be asking Brandel about the state of the game, technology, gambling in golf, and a couple other things. Stay with us.
We'll be back with more match play right after these messages.
Do you like Tour Edge?
I love Tour Edge.
This is seriously high tech.
And they're long, right, Duff?
Built in the USA?
Oh, I love that.
I need forgiveness.
Did I mention these puppies are long, really long?
You know why I love Tour Edge? It's because I win with it. Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
Introducing the Putting Stroke Teacher Training Aid.
The Putting Stroke Teacher helps the better player, the PGA Tour player, the pro that wants to get out on tour, because the first thing it's going to do is get these forearms lined up square and your shoulders lined up square. And that's the thing my dad and I worked on when I led the tour in putting, and it's the thing I'm constantly checking today to make sure that those are lined up. And that's going to really affect the path that the putter head swings on. Very easy to set up. You just take two pieces, stick them together, put it on the end of your putter, two little Velcro straps, and boom, you're in and you're ready to go. It's not big, it's very tiny. You can take it apart and stick it in your golf bag. Get the Putting Stroke Teacher and make more putts.
Order the Putting Stroke Teacher today.
Athlons is by far the most stable and comfortable golf shoe that I've ever worn.
This shoe helps me have a stable base so I can swing hard and not lose control.
The technology built into the Athlon shoe allows us to work through our rotational sequence at maximal outputs and maximal speeds.
Athlons works for everyone.
This shoe will help your game.
That's why I wear Athlons.
And now back to match play with your host, Ray Adams.
Welcome back with Brandel Chamblee. And Brandel, as we went out, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your opinions on the state of the game. We've just come from another PGA merchandise show, you get all the industry experts together, and you hear a lot about what's going on in golf. And I have to ask you, because I've heard you talk about it so many times on the air, about the technology in golf. What's your take?
In general, golf is too expensive to play. It takes too long to play it. And it is not as diverse as it should be. Those are big problems. Golf's been trying to find ways to make the game cheaper, make it faster, and make it more diverse. They're headed in the right direction, but you know, the first tee, those programs are great for the game. There is a trend in golf course architecture to make it more simplistic, to make it cheaper to play. There's, you know, where I live in Orlando, there's a golf course there called Winter Park Golf Club that costs $12 to play. It's the right idea, but we can do more, for sure.
If you could change one thing with so many of the different technologies that are coming out, it's great for the amateur golfer, and I presume for the tour player, but the power game, it's just hit it as far as you can and get a wedge out. And it seems we reduce professional golf to just that.
There are counter arguments to this for sure, and I'm happy to have those arguments, but I think the ball should be rolled back. I think
could it ever happen?
Yeah, I think it could. And I think the USGA and the RNA very shortly after we're sitting here, I think we're going to hear from them very shortly. Within a couple of weeks, we're going to hear from them, I believe, about their research because they've been, for a couple of years, they've been researching this. So they don't want to dive into it haphazardly. They're going to come at this from a very well-researched point of view, and they're hoping to get some consensus in the industry that it's an issue. But look, if you look at other sports, if you look at football, offense has never been more prolific. Baseball, home runs, we call it offense. It's never been more prolific. 3-point shots in the NBA, it's a different game now than it has ever been before, and all three of them have attendance records. So is it good that, now, there are social elements to those attendance records.
But they also have a controlled ball too.
They do, but the game has changed drastically. So within the game, like in baseball, the same sort of technology that you're talking about, launch monitors have encouraged them to swing up, get it higher, get it out of the park. Now that also leads to strikeouts. So you get home runs and strikeouts. Both things are interesting to the fans, but you can't deny that the fact that the economy is so good has a lot to do with those attendance records.
Yes.
So you don't know if it's the offense or it's the economy. You don't really know where the interest is coming from. Within golf, what bothers me about the state of the game is that it's become far too much of a power game. This game, first and foremost, is a cognitive game. It's about strategy and it's about thinking. That is the appeal of this game, first and foremost. And then is the camaraderie, okay? It should never be solely about power. And it's become far too much, and I mean flipped upside down. This game used to be primarily about accuracy and then power. And now it's primarily about power and accuracy. And when you do that, you lose the cognitive attraction of this beautiful game.
We'll be right back with Brandel Chamblee talking more technology, state of the game, and a couple of other very interesting questions I have for him. Stay with me.
We'll be back with more Match Play right after these messages.
Drive smarter. Approach smarter. Chip smarter. Putt smarter. Download GolfLogix for free and start playing smarter.
Do you like Tour Edge?
I love Tour Edge.
This is seriously high tech.
And they're long, right, Duff?
Built in the USA? Oh, I love that. I need forgiveness.
Did I mention these puppies are long, really long?
You know why I love Tour Edge? It's because I win with it. Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
And now back to Match Play with your host, Ray Adams.
All right, welcome back with Brandel Chamblee to Match Play TV. And Brandel, you were talking about playing golf on 12 holes rather than 18 holes. Makes sense to me, but I don't know if the folks are going to go for that.
Look, professional golf, people forget. Professional golf began in 1860 with the Open Championship, and they played a 12-hole golf course. And
now, not a lot of people know that.
They played a 12-hole golf course, okay? So they would play 12 holes 3 times for a 36-hole champion. So they did that for 15 years or so.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about golf getting back to its roots, that's a 12-hole golf course.
And the grass was somewhat brown. It wasn't really all that green, was it?
It was probably somewhat brown.
Well, my great-grandparents are from there. I've been to St. Andrews, and I mean, it's a little
Prestwick
brown.
was where they
Well,
first
Prestwick, right,
that's
but
where
I
they-
mean that
yeah.
same area, that whole
Yeah,
Scotland
right.
area, right?
Yeah, and it was mowed to whatever the rabbits thought the height should be.
The goats, yeah, sure. All right, let's keep going. Tell me about gambling and golf. Is gambling in golf the new big deal coming?
Yeah.
And how are we going to handle that one?
It's as inevitable as the sun coming up in the east. It's going to happen, and golf is going to be I think, the perfect environment for gambling. Imagine this. So Phil Mickelson hits it into a bunker. The second he hits it into that bunker, what's going to pop up is that Phil Mickelson, from this distance, gets it up and down 62% of the time. Immediately, there's going to be some sort of odds in play. Not only that, when he hits it in the bunker, from this distance, he hits it 9 feet 7 inches. Again, odds are in play. People are going to be online. Well, there will be some growing pains, and I could argue the other side of it, that I don't like it.
What do you foresee that the negative side will be?
Well, it opens it up to all kinds of controversies. You know, was someone bought out? Was someone motivated to make a mistake? Was someone, it happened in tennis not that long ago.
So is it like baseball? If you bet on golf, are you banned for life? What about that?
Well, players cannot bet on golf, nor can caddies.
Well, neither could baseball players either, they say.
Well, I mean, look, there's always going to be people who are, from a character standpoint, come up shy. But if, you know, look, players are already talked about. You know, they've been educated on this topic. So have caddies. So have pretty much everybody who's intimately tied into the professional game. But that doesn't mean the 25 million people in this country that watch the game would be precluded, or for that matter, the rest of the people who watch sports. All of a sudden, now then, they've got a tie-in to golf, irrespective of their interest in the game. It's about making money, or it's about scratching that gambling itch that so many people have in sport.
Is golf at a point, Brandel, where we have seen some examples and we may be teaching, and wrongly so, the young people watching, catch me if you can?
Definitely.
Tell me about that.
My problem with what transpired at the event in the Bahamas with Patrick Reed wasn't so much about Patrick Reed. He's one person. And certainly, you know, the fact that that happened is not unique just to that event or this era. There has always been in the game, there's been 200 players playing the game, there's always been a handful of players that had a reputation of let's just say, having not a high esteem for the traditions of the game. Let's just call it that. The game of golf has taken care of those people within the game. One of my favorite stories is Jack Nicklaus getting paired with a person who didn't necessarily mark his ball the correct way. First hole, Jack Nicklaus stands, here's where the ball is. Jack's standing there, about a foot away from where his ball is, and the player looks up and Jack says, "You see these shoes? You're going to see them every time you mark your golf ball today." Okay, that's Jack taking care of and protecting the integrity of the competition. And that's the way golf took care of these things.
Final question for Brandel Chamblee, as always, prepared and opinionated, but he backs those opinion up with a lot of facts and a lot of history. Brandel, tell the folks something about you that you would like them to know, and you're sure they don't know it.
That I would like them to know?
Yeah. What do you want folks to know about Brandel Chamblee? that they don't know, but you'd like them to?
My caddy used to always say to me when I played the tour that he could always find me on a range because there would be a group of people around me. Because I love people, I enjoy people, I enjoy their stories, I enjoy meeting them, I enjoy getting to know them. Probably to my detriment when I was on the tour, I probably spent more time talking to people than hitting golf balls the way I should, although I practiced my fair bit.
Did you chat with your partners as you walked down the fairways?
Yeah, I enjoyed people
So
very
you're
much.
not playing with Ben Hogan anytime.
Look, I mean, that was, Ben came up in an area of austerity and poverty, and, I'm sure his personality was, was shaped by that.
You and Fuzzy got along great.
We're all a product of our background. I was not like Fuzzy. Fuzzy took it to another level.
And Lee Trevino.
Well, I wasn't like them either, but I enjoyed people, but they, when they were on the golf course, they were pure entertainers. I just enjoyed people. Off the golf course,
what are your other interests? What do you love to do?
To be honest with you, off the golf course, I'm a bit of a geek. I just would rather read a book all day long than do, my wife teases me all the time. She's like, if I left you alone, you would never leave the house. And I'm like, that's right, as long as I didn't run out of coffee. I get up early. I'm an early riser. I'm up sometimes 4 or 5:30. I'm up and I grab a cup of coffee and I start reading. I have, lots of different books I read at the same time. I usually read 3, 4, 5 books at the same time, but they're mostly political books. They're mostly historical books.
Oh, we can't go there. No politics.
Yeah, well, maybe not on TV, but obviously, I think most people have sort of lost the art of congenial disagreement.
Correct.
But we need to restore that. I have great friends that most of my friends are politically at odds with me, but we argue in a wonderful way.
Brandel Chamblee, right here on Match Play TV. Thanks for joining me, Brandel.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and thanks for all you do for golf.
It screams. It tracks. It's soft. It reacts. It is the all-new Tour B with a game-changing reactive cover designed to spring faster off your driver and stick longer to your wedges. Try the new Tour B, the Tour Ball, reinvented.
There is a place where reality exceeds your dreams, where time is not measured in days, hours, or minutes, but in smiles, new experiences, and new friends. A place where happiness is not a feeling, it's a way of life. Here, you're not just a visitor, you're family. There are many languages in the world, and our smile speaks them all.